Construction is constantly happening. The speed limits are set low and the penalties are set even higher. She knew she needed to act quick because with situations like this, it's either sink or swim. And just a tip, if you're checking to see if a surface is too hot, use the back of your hand because it's a little bit more sensitive to that heat. And just remember that if it's too hot for you, then it's too hot for your kids. A GoFundMe page has been created for the 7th grade science teacher Jason Seaman, and today we caught up with the student who organized it all, a student that Seaman had never met until yesterday. But it's not going to be cheap. With each one averaging about $4,100 a piece, the department's looking to spend about $250,000 total. Not only to speak up about the boy they miss, but to speak out against violence they say needs to stop. The content of that package, over 350 THC vapor pen cartridges with an estimated street value of $14,000. But some people are saying that it cures more than just hangovers. Come to find out, Potter saved not one, not two, but 3 different lives on Wednesday. It wasn't found out until after the woman was pulled out of the water that she was also pregnant. Good evening, Brooke. Family members of 13-year-old Harry Taliver believe this was a senseless killing. They used tonight's vigil not only to speak up about the boy they miss, but to speak out against violence they say needs to stop.
Father God, in the name of Jesus, Father God, that the prayer of the righteousness is not in vain, Father God. We will pray and we will push until something happens.
Emotions ran high less than 24 hours after what family members of 13-year-old Harry Talifer call their lowest of lows.
The street claimed my son's life unfairly, and I'm not happy about it.
About 75 people showed up to the corner of Barner and Nimitz Drive on Indy's east side for a candlelit vigil.
Every single person in this neighborhood should be out here up in arms over what happened last night.
Candles, flowers, and heartfelt notes lay on the ground, mementos left behind in Harry's honor.
This is tough.
IMPD Police Chief Brian Roach spoke to the grieving community, vowing to stop the violence.
We'll bring this to an end. We will identify the people, but it just means that those lives have been impacted also, and also those families. There's not a win here. And when you bring guns to an argument, it goes bad.
Those closest to him remember the talented football player as a good student and a friendly face. A child, they say, didn't deserve to die.
Harry will never get to be a freshman in high school. He will never get to go to prom. He will never know what it's like to find his wife.
Now, obviously, as you saw, a very emotional event tonight, and police say they don't have any suspects at the time, but family members told Wish TV earlier today they do think they know who could have been behind this, and they believe it was an adult female. Now, in the meantime, if you know anything about this, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers immediately at 317-262-TIPS. Reporting live from Wish TV studios, Colton Howard, 24-Hour News 8. Well, Brooke, it may be cooled off right now, but that won't be the case tomorrow. And with dozens of events happening around the city outside this weekend, we want to make sure that you stay cool as well as your kids.
We're looking at a metal swing right here, so we're looking at 128 degrees.
Under the scorching sun, playgrounds like this one on Indianapolis's west side can reach dangerous temperatures. So hot, Michael Pruitt with Wayne Township Fire Department warns serious contact burns can happen in the matter of seconds.
So if a child spends any length of time sitting in that, they could end up with some first-degree burns, and then even over a prolonged period of time, it could even worsen to maybe a second degree.
Where the damage starts, 110 degrees.
About 130 here. We're looking at about 145 degrees in the mulch.
Pruitt used a thermal gun to measure the temperature of the playground equipment. He found all of it was well above the 110-degree mark. The most extreme was the slide, topping off at a sizzling 152 degrees.
You just got to be careful. The parents really need to touch those slides before they let the kids go down them.
Meanwhile, across the park, Edie Bird was with her 3 grandkids playing on the splash pad.
I done told them we was only here for 30 minutes just because it's so hot, and I got a couple redheads, and they burn pretty quick.
So where the water's at, so now we're dropping down to like 75 degrees.
With today's highs topping out at 93 and temps this weekend only expected to get worse, Pruitt urges everyone to be careful.
Rotate, make sure the kids are outside for a half an hour, 45 minutes. It's time to get in the shade, maybe go inside, let them rest. Kids will just go and go and go until they don't feel well. And by that point, sometimes we're in trouble.
Now, Pruitt also stresses the importance of using sunscreen and staying hydrated. And just a tip, if you're checking to see if a surface is too hot, use the back of your hand because it's a little bit more sensitive to that heat. And just remember that if it's too hot for you, then it's too hot for your kids. Reporting live in downtown, Colton Howard, 24 Hour News 8.